This conference will now be recorded.
Hey everybody, it's Tammy, and it's we're going into the weekend here, and I thought there's so many things going on right now in the world, in my little tiny world and the bigger world at large, that I wanted to connect with you and show you some things that we're working on. So the economy's insane. We all know we're in
This conference will now be recorded.
I don't know why they did that. Oh, because I keep hitting my keyboard. But anyway, I wanted to reach out to you today and take a look at things. You know, the economy's crazy. There is a recession. We know that. And a lot of you are in financial services, so you're hearing about it every day, especially if you're an accumulation phase advisor and people are complaining because they're losing money in their 401ks, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of wealth has evaporated. Well, it hasn't evaporated, it's gone into other people's pockets, right? But what can you do as a financial professional, or if you're a real estate investor, or if you're both? I have a lot of those dual people. What can you do to kind of safeguard yourself? Well, first of all, if you're interested in an unvarnished look at the economy, you need to get away from mainstream news and go talk to people that are actual investors, people that are out in the trenches, boots on the ground people, not just the talking heads, right? So I would suggest the Economic Ninja YouTube channel, Appalachia's Homestead with Patara, Patara, I believe that's how you spell it. She's got some great advice on a practical level. Especially if you like the idea of being prepared for things, that's a great place to go. And also my friend Dan at I Allegedly, look them up on YouTube and you'll see he's a business consultant, so he sees this firsthand. He talks to clients every day. He gets the real truth about things from the actual people who are experiencing them. So I recommend those channels if you want to stay up to date with the economy. Now, that being said, there are going to be some recession resistant lines of product lines and professions that you can be in. Obviously, medical, we all know that, right? Medical is one thing. The other things that are going to be somewhat recession resistant are funeral planning, end of life planning, final expense, probably health insurance as far as that's concerned, long-term care, maybe, anything to do with geriatric, seniors, retirement planning, those kind of things. If you've got those products, those are probably going to do really well right now, and it might be a good time to emphasize those. I had a guy tell me the other day, well, nobody makes money with final expense. Well, first of all, that's baloney. I know a couple of people that do that full time, and they make twice what I make, 3 times what I make. So yeah, there are people making money with it. It's not the most glamorous line of insurance you could do, but it's certainly something that everyone recognizes they will need, particularly after COVID. You know, we had to encounter our own mortality, and a lot of people started thinking about those things. But the funny thing about final expense is that it can easily lead to other sales, because even though final expense is seen, I know, you know, the old, as a former agent, the way I used to see final expense was, you know, you're going into very bad neighborhoods with pit bulls and people that are sitting in their living room and everything's in tatters, and they have a black and white TV and they're watching ads and they fill out a card for final expense. That's the way I used to see it. But it's changed a lot, and it can be a great door opener, you know, and death is the final frontier, right? The last thing people want to talk about, but the first thing they need to talk about. So don't discount, number one, getting some passive income from selling final expense. I may even go back into business. That's how excited I am about that. Um, but it can lead to bigger sales of other things. You'll find out a lot of people have money that don't look like they have a penny. I know where I live, there's a lot of retirees, and a lot of them look like they couldn't, you know, scrape 2 nickels together. They couldn't even find a quarter for the Aldi shopping carts or whatever. But then you find out they're sitting on piles of cash because they don't know what to do with it. And they certainly need some help during these times because their cash is eroding faster than they can count it. So again, that's for all you financial people. Just remember that, anything to do with health, to a certain extent, property and casualty, at least for the automobile, you'll still have to have that. It will be one of the last things standing when people start shedding all of their bills, and it's happening big time here in California. You may not see it where you live, but I'm certainly seeing it here. So that being said, let's talk a little bit about Safe Money Trends and what I'm doing to get people found and to get people some, I like to say that we move the meter. And moving the meter is not guaranteed leads. It's not guaranteed sales. It's simply causing some buzz around you and your product or service, and perhaps getting you into conversations with the right kind of people. Okay. So I don't make these claims that you're going to get 10 million leads. What I do say is that when people do go to find you, they will find positive content that you've written, they will find relevant stuff, they will find a lot of good things about you, and your sale, the process will be a lot easier because of this. That's absolutely true that even people in their 80s are starting to Google advisors before they deal with them. Now, people are selling more and more online, and people are buying more and more online. So trust and authority and getting found are just critical, right? If they Google James Smith annuities and they don't find anything about you, or they find the wrong James Smith and he's been put in prison, then you're going to have some issues when it comes to selling, especially if you sell online. Now, that being said, let's look at some of the things we're doing. And I've talked to you in the past about SEO and how bogus those SEO people that call you and say, we can get your website #1. And maybe that's true, but what they're doing to get your website #1 is going to get you in trouble eventually and get you kicked off, maybe Google. So let me show you what you're looking at right now is actually the back office, the unvarnished truth about safemoneytrends.com. Sherilyn and I started safemoneytrends.com as an alternative to annuity.com and Retire Village and those other products. Now, you may be thinking, I just did this to get even, but actually, I did this before there was any problem between Annuity Agents Alliance and myself, right? Because there was bad blood, because what I was doing was actually trying to help their advisors sell more products by getting found, right? It makes sense. But since they like to control everything, they took issue with that. So instead of, backing down, what I did is just up the ante and tried to make this site as Google compliant as possible. It's important for you to know Google has recently changed their guidelines. If you go on and search it on the internet, I will do this in another video, but if you search for new Google guidelines, you will find that you'll find their page, and they tell you in no uncertain terms exactly what they're looking for. And they're telling you what's going to make them upset and what's going to make them happy. And if you follow those as strictly as you can, your content and your website are going to do amazing things. If you don't believe it, I'll tell you one thing that showed me before they even announced that they had changed their algorithm, before it was widely known. I noticed this video that I posted, right? I have a podcast called Safe Space Podcast. That's my other podcast, and that's interviewing ordinary people about their extraordinary lives, right? And so I didn't promote this particular interview that I did with a bluegrass banjo player named Ellen Peterson, right? I just did it because I love bluegrass music, and I really enjoyed the videos I'd seen of her on the internet, and so on and so forth. Well, it turns out, so this was just 2 weeks ago, so let me show you that. And let's see, let me just skip that. So if you'll notice, this was just posted a couple of weeks ago, and it has 10,637 views already. That is extraordinary. I've never had a video ever go that route. So when I looked at the traffic and I analyzed it, there's an analytics function on your YouTube channel that you may or may not be aware of. I looked, and 84% of that traffic came directly from Google. And what Google did was recommended it to people who were searching for the Petersons family band. And it made all the difference in the world, because now Google's emphasis is on content made by people for people. Put that in your head now. Not content designed to get search results, not content designed for shock value, not content designed to sell a product, content for people by people. And this is a good example of how Google is weighting it now, because Google owns YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine after Google. So you know the algorithm and the parameters are going to apply to Google, to all of Google's digital properties, including YouTube. So 10,637 never had a video achieve that fast, ever. 318 likes, never had that either. Tons of comments, as you can see here, just tons of comments. Did I do anything special to promote it? No, I only mentioned it a couple of times to people, to my small network, but Google did the rest. Okay, so again, if you think that content written or created by people for people isn't a big thing, you're wrong. So let's look at that. Do some more. Okay, so the same goes for content you create on LinkedIn, by the way, which is owned, I think, by Microsoft now. Any of that content that you create needs to be as original as possible. Here's something else that you may or may not know. Like, for example, one of the issues I had with annuity.com is that they, number one, they wouldn't let me put any calls to action within the articles, which I think was not a good idea, because, you know, part of the reason you have an article is to promote yourself or your service, right? And I'm not saying an advertisement. I'm just saying, just mentioning, hey, call my office at 1-800 blah, 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 if you want a free consult or whatever, you know, just something briefly mentioned, because the meat of the article has to be meaty, right? It has to be relevant. It has to be real content. They wouldn't let me do that. They also constrained the number of words they wanted to under 500. That's what they actually wanted. And as I find out, that is not what's playing with search right now. What's playing with search right now is in-depth articles on topics people are searching for. Like, for example, if you want to be seen as a retirement specialist, then your article needs to have, you know, 15 mistakes retirees make with their retirement planning, and it needs to be in depth. And in my opinion, that 500 or less needs to move to 600 to 1,000 words. Now that's a lot more work, and it's a lot more research, and trust me, I'm going to charge a lot more to do that. Before, I was charging $100 for basic research and basic article, and now I'm going to, you know, up the ante a little bit, because I'm going to have to work harder to create. It's like doing 2 articles instead of 1. But that being said, let's, you know, the articles that are more in depth, that actually answer questions people have, that provide useful and original content, maybe an original viewpoint of a typical topic. You know, you take a typical topic, a common everyday topic, but you look at it from a different perspective and you explain it, and maybe you provide charts or whatever. That kind of article is what's really going to be trending on Google now. The other thing is content with videos. Well, you saw my, I should have left that up there, huh? But you saw that one with 10,000 views, right? Well, let's look at some of the other things that you can do with video that we're doing that I think are really exciting. Come on, Safe Money Trends. Your channel. Doopy-doop. Okay, so this is the Safe Money Trends companion channel to the safemoneytrends.com. And so you'll see there's a lot of different kind of videos on here, and eventually we're going to break out and do separate channels. But for the time being, for example, I'm posting the advisors that are on Safe Money Trends. One of the things that I give them is the ability to post to this site and also my private site, which has been around for a long, long, long time. So it has, some power with aging. The aging of sites is something that a lot of people don't think about. But anyway, we've got all these videos. We've got over 1,000 subscribers now on the Safe Money Trends. And so I'm posting their content on this site, cross-posting it, right? So one thing that's working really well is these testimonials, the testimonials that aren't really testimonials. So I started thinking about how can advisors and agents do client testimonials that aren't cheesy, that don't seem forced, that don't seem like they bought off their client or bribed their client to do it, that seem natural and that have good content. So what I decided to do was, for my advisors, I'm going to have them give me a list of their clients that they like the most, the clients that have spontaneously told them, hey, Joe, you're doing a great job. I can't believe that you helped me with this. Nobody else could help me, blah, blah. In other words, you're not telling them what to say. You're finding the clients that already are saying good things about you. And then I take them on a podcast and interview them and ask them questions like, how did you find the experience of buying life insurance online? How did you find the experience of buying an annuity online? How did you hook up with Joe? What did you like about his process? What didn't you like? Make it authentic, right? And I let them talk about their experience with that advisor. And this lady, Claire, that you see up on your screen now, this lady, Claire, was just delightful. And without me having to prompt her, with no script or anything else, she came on like a regular podcast guest and she told her experience. And if I were a senior looking for an annuity product and I listened to that, I would hear someone like myself. It would resonate with me. I could relate to that. And the stuff she says sounds so unforced and so natural that I would believe that she really did have a good relationship with Sean Sparkman. And she does. So I did this for Sean. This was the first one I did. This was a full podcast because she was an interesting lady still working and she had a lot to say. There's other ones that I've done that are shorter now for Sean. Like this was an interesting one with a CPA. Sean has a CPA client and they're going to be pains, right? They're going to ask you every question that ordinary people would never ask. And this guy was a curmudgeon a little bit. His name's Bob Beardsley, but he was so credible. And I think if I were a senior looking for an annuity expert and I came across Sean, I came across this, I would say, wow, this CPA like Sean, he must be good. So that's just some of the exciting stuff we're doing. This is content that's actually useful. It's useful to the end user. Remember now, Google's focus going forward is on the end user. The person they want people to stay on their search engine. They want people to thumbs up their search engine for being relevant. They don't want people to find content like little tiny articles and still be left hungry. They want satisfying answers to their questions, right? So remember that when you're creating content. So again, I'm showing you what I'm doing now. I'm excited about it because I think it's going to help advisors. Let's go back to Safe Money Trends really quickly. I could show you the stats for Safe Money Trends, but suffice it to, well, let's go ahead and do that. All right, let me go in and show you the stats. There's the stats. I'm just going to do the overview. Okay, so we're having a pretty good run of nice organic traffic. We aren't over promoting the site, but as you can see, the last 30 days, we've had 7,010 unique visitors and 10,636 visits altogether. So that's actually pretty good. If you look at annuity.com after 16 years, they're barely getting they're still getting fewer than 3,000 a month. So we're on track. And I think the quality of our traffic, because we're operating according to the Google playbook, is a lot better. So let's look at particular posts. This is unusual because again, you're seeing that people are actually reading these posts. I've got some that are, 90, 70, 80, 90 reads. So people are coming to this website and reading. And as time goes by, we're going to make these articles longer, just like Google wants, and we're going to make them more thorough and a lot more compelling. When we started off the website, we were just giving people a venue because there were a lot of people that left the annuity.com platform and their stuff was taken down, all of a sudden. And so they had no place to publish. They needed some traffic. They needed some recognition. So is this stuff working? Well, it's working for search. Sean Sparkman is sharing his name with this popular veterinarian. So we had to do something to start getting him on page 1 as a financial guy. Okay, so here's what we came up with. So this is Sean Sparkman, Twitter. This is the veterinarian. This is the veterinarian, the second one. Now, as you get down, Insight Folios, that's Sean Sparkman, the financial. Annuity Gator, and the Jovan Will and those guys, he's up in second position. Here's, that's the wrong Sean Sparkman on Facebook. That's another Sean Sparkman who's a delivery guy, not the same guy. Okay, so here's Safe and Sound Podcast. That's Sean's podcast that we've been promoting. So we've got the other wrong Sean Sparkman on Instagram. On page 2, though, you start to see Safe Money Trends, and those properties are coming up. So here's YouTube Sean that we did. These are both from my YouTube channel. And let's see, his podcast. And yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in there. So he's starting to slowly push the other Sean Sparkman off. That's the best way to get page 1. If you do anything else, it's a temporary fix. What you want is to create a copious amount of good, relevant content to slowly push those other results off. Okay, that's the only really way to do it. So anyway, and people, like I said, people are reading the content. Amazing, amazing. People are watching the videos and commenting. All of this is going really, really well. So that in mind, those of you who are with Aegis or with Safe Money Trends, invited authors, all those people, if you're with invited authors and you're getting it for free, there's really nothing to lose by putting your content up on annuity.com. If you are getting anything free, free YouTube, free LinkedIn or whatever, go ahead and take advantage of it. Just be aware that oftentimes you do not control your content and you will not be able to take it with you when you leave. So just bear that in mind. We aren't an FMO, IMO, so we don't put strings on things. You just pay us and you keep it and you put it wherever you want. In fact, we're getting to a point where we can do syndication so that we can have your content in multiple places. That's going to be very, very useful to you. Think about Dave Ramsey. His stuff's all over the place. It's not just on his website. So same with Stan, the Annuity Man. Look him up and you'll see that syndicating his content has worked really, really well. Excuse me, it's dry here. What else did I want to tell you? I want you to, I wanted you to see everything we're doing and understand that I'm going to have 50 people in Safe Money Trends, and that's it. That's all we can handle. But everybody's going to get a little TLC as much as we can do it. Where we sit down and interview you, you get to be on the podcast. We can help you start your own podcast. We can help you promote things. Everything is customized and everything's boutique. There's not a cookie cutter. I hate those cookie cutter websites. They may be free, but they end up costing you because they all look the same and they don't really rank very high in search engine. They don't really do a lot for you. They're basically just a busy business card. So if you want something more than that, if you want content that has heft, if you want content that has weight, that has relevance, then come to Sherilyn and I and we can take care of that for you. We can also help you if you need a drip system or anything like that. If you need a custom website, if you need a lead magnet or anything like that, we can do it or find someone to do it for you. But I want you to have a great weekend. Thank you so much for being part of the Safe Money Trends family. And I hope that I can help you in some way. If you just want to participate, by the way, in the Rebel Agents Dispatch, we have a private channel. It's only open to people that are participating in that. And we are, in the process of drilling down to specific things. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you want to write your own book, you want to learn how to do a edit video or whatever, we're going to have videos on this website to show you how to do it yourself. And it's $9 a month. So you can go to the link that's on this email or on this video at the bottom and go to our Patreon page and support us at $9 a month. We'll be able to create this wonderful content, and you're going to get a lot of freebies with it too. I'm going to be sending out templates. I'm going to be sending out subject lines you can use for articles or for emails. Basically, I'm doing the same kind of things I've been doing for years, except that now for $9 a month, I can afford to pay for some of these tools that I use. So if you want to do that, that's a good way to get started with us. Otherwise, if you need me to write something for you, I can still publish it anywhere. So give me a call, contact me at the links below, and have a great day.